is insane. Okay, so we have this function, same kind of thing. The only difference from yesterday is that we have to now type it in. So please follow along the best that you can as we go along, because the calculator can be very tedious, but once you get used to it, it's very easy to use. So have your beautiful calculator out, and whenever you want to get a graph, you want to press Y equals. So make sure you turn it on first. That'd be great. What?
Yeah, mine's not showing up.
You didn't click Y equals.
Did you turn it on?
I did.
It's showing up.
Good, you press Y equals, right? Okay, so you press Y equals, and we're going to type in exactly what we see. We see 1/2 x squared. Yep. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to type it in. Now, 1/2 really means 1 divided by 2, so it turns red. 1 divided by 2. Now the X button, if you've never used a graphing calculator, is right here next to that green alpha button, if you have the calculator you're using for mine. And then squared is this button right here in red. I just gave it to you.
Oh, you're supposed to get it.
Yeah, I just gave it to you. Yeah, because we're going to do review. We're going to review today. Yeah. Reviewing. Okay, now you want to press graph, and if yours doesn't look like this, you need to let me know. So you press graph. Okay, beautiful parabola. It's nice and pretty.
I messed up somewhere. I got straight.
Let me know if you need to know.
Let me see.
Wait,
What
we
happened?
both got, like, everyone got parabolas. Colin just got a straight line.
1/2 x, right?
Squared. Squared. There you go.
Where? Oh, right here.
Down. There you go. Hey. Woo. Syntax. So whenever he says syntax, press go to.
There it is.
Something happened here. Okay, so 1. Do 1 again. 1 divided by 2.
I
X.
cannot do that with my
Is
calculator.
right there. And then squared is right there. There you go. Now press graph. Anyone else? Okay, cool. So now we have this beautiful graph. Now that we have this going, what is the vertex of this graph? 0, 0, 0. So we're going to go ahead and put that in our notes. Whenever you're trying to graph something, put your vertex right here in the middle. And I'll make a little note of that. That's where my vertex is going from my graph. Split screening it for you. 0, 0. Okay, now go to your table, and I'm going to show you how to get to the table. Press the blue second button, which is now in red on mine, and then press graph again, the graph button that you've already used. Whoa. Second, right here, I'm going to press it, point to it. I'll be a bit on white right now. Second, graph. And you should get a table that looks like this.
I'm still on the graph.
You gotta click
Second, the blue button, and then graph. It actually says table above it. It's okay if yours is different. It's fine. You can scroll up a little bit. You can scroll up and down if you don't see what I see. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to write 2 above and 2 below. So the number above the 0 is the -1 and the -2. So I'm going to write that down. I'm just going to write out down these ordered pairs. So we have -2, 2. We have -1, 0.5. We have 1, 0.5. And we have 2, 2. And if you notice, look, they're symmetric. Same. They're the same. Because parabolas or quadratics will have symmetric points. So let's go ahead and graph that. -1 up 0.5, somewhere around there. And then it mirrors across. -2 up 2. And then it mirrors across. And it goes up. This is the only difference from yesterday is we had to make our own graph. And if you didn't have a graphing calculator, you really could make these points if you want to. There also is Desmos if you're at home and you don't have your graphing calculator. Desmos is great, and I can show you how to get to it. But before you leave, you should be able to have enough time to put all of your tables together before you leave. A lot of them finished before they left in general. Okay, what is the domain of all parabolas? All real numbers, which is negative to positive infinity. Range. Range is bottom to top. So don't highlight with me, I'm just gonna show you. There is nothing here. It doesn't start from negative infinity to here, it has nothing. However, it starts here and it goes on forever up. And what is here on forever up? How would you write that? Okay, it's going to infinity, but where am I starting? 0. And do I include it? Yeah. Cool. So 0 to infinity is my range. My y-intercept is pretty straightforward. Where's across the y-axis? Good. 0, 0. And same thing with the x. My axis of symmetry is the line that you can draw down the middle of your parabola. So I'm going to draw it down the middle because I feel like a lot of people get this part confused. It is 0. X equals 0 is my axis of symmetry. It's that dotted line down the middle. Well, we know what our vertex is. It's 0, 0. I feel like this is like one of those easier problems. Okay, is it concave up or down? Up. Is it a min or a max?
Min.
Very good. That means that there's no point lower than something. And what point is the lowest it goes? What?
0.
Yeah, very good. 0. And it's at 0. X equals 0. That's really just your vertex is what that is. Okay. Interval of increase and interval of decrease. So this is the one where people tend to kind of get confused. So I'm going to use my highlighters. Yellow is going to be my increase like last time. And then whatever color was thrown at you is the other one. Now I go left to right. Always. I don't care what order it is. In blue, I start at negative infinity and I end at positive no matter what. Am I going to be increasing or decreasing first? Decreasing. So from left to right, I'm going to be decreasing. And when I go left to right, I go negative infinity to where the axis of symmetry is. What was the number for the axis of symmetry? 0. So negative infinity to 0. Hold on. Is where it's decreasing. Negative infinity to 0. But then it picks back up and it goes from 0 to infinity. So it kind of just, you start at negative and you end at positive. I'm going to draw something out for you. Well, first let me highlight this piece.
It's negative infinity and 0 for decrease.
For decrease. That just means if I were to take away, sometimes when you look at these y values, it confuses you. If I were to look here, so from negative infinity to this 0 point is like where it cuts it off. Negative infinity to 0, and then 0 to infinity would be increase. So that's decrease, increase, decrease, increase. I'm going to write something out for you to help you out. This axis of symmetry, no matter if it's 0, 1, a million, a half, that's the number you should be using. Okay, you shouldn't be using any other number but the axis of symmetry. That's where it's telling you where it stops and it starts to turn locations. It goes from increase to decrease and vice versa. Okay? We are going to go actually to number 3 because it's a little different than, and you're going to do number 2 to get your homework. So pretty much almost done already. What button do I press on the calculator to always get a graph?
Graph.
Well, yes, but first to put in the function, I should say. The y equals, thank you. Press clear. And let's start typing it in. Negative. Remember, the negative is down in the right corner. It's not the minus sign. That's minus, that's negative. Negative x squared. Remember, the x button is next to the alpha right here. Okay, squared.
Mine says 2. Oh, no, mine is 2.
Plus 4x minus 3, not negative 3. So if you look at mine, the minus sign looks way different than the negative. Okay, let me press graph so you can see what it looks like, and if you didn't get that, let me know and I can come help you. Well, that's perfect. What you have is perfect. Yep, and then go ahead and type in this, negative. There you go. X. See if you remember where it's at. There it is, yep. X, and then you press the one that you were about to touch. Squared. Yep, good, you're doing it. Keep going. Plus 4x. And then minus 3. Good.
We all.
Awesome. Good. Now you're good.
I wanna start with that.
Okay, so looking at this one, what is the vertex of my graph?
What?
What's the vertex of my graph?
It is.
Wait.
What?
I guess.
You had something wrong? Hold on.
I was supposed to be a straight line. I've been there before.
Okay. Woo! What'd you do?
Dang it, Dustin.
Well, you forgot a plus sign. It's not a big deal. So you would be like plus 4x, keep going. 4x minus 3. Okay, so what was the vertex again?
2,
2 comma
1.
1. So 2 comma 1 is my vertex. I'm going to write that in just so we know. And I'm going to put it right in the middle. Can you see? Is that really small?
No.
There you go.
Barely.
Well, now that I have this down, well, actually, I'll come back in a second. How do you get your table?
Do, with graph.
Good. Second, that little button, that blue button, and then graph again. You can actually see the table button, like you can see table right here. So remember, scroll up and down if you need to, but I'm going to locate where my vertex is, 2, 1. You pick the 2 points above it and the 2 points below it. That's where people were getting confused in my last period. Find where your vertex is, it's right there. And then you do 2 above and 2 below. So I'm going to put the 1, and I'm going to put the 0, I'm going to put the 3 and the 4. And then it went 1. Oh, wrong one. Sorry, that's not 1. It's a negative 3. Negative 3. 0, 0, negative 3. Okay, now I can actually zoom back and you guys can see. So that's what you should have got for your table. So let's go ahead and plot these points. 2, 1 is here, 1, 0, and 0, negative 3. Remember, they just mirror over, so you don't have to think about it. They mirror, so mirrored, mirrored, boom. Questions on how to get it from your calculator. The more practice you do, the better you're going to get them. You're going to love this calculator. It could do so many things for you. And once you get used to it, it's going to be your best friend. Okay? So let's talk about it. Domain and range. Domain is always all real numbers. Now, here's where people get confused. Remember, your range starts from the bottom to the top. That's my range in green. Don't highlight with me, but I have a function, I have a function, I have a function. I'm going to keep going until I can't go no further. Where do I stop? To the 1. Very good, and I include it. It's supposed to be like a little bracket. A bracket. There you go. Okay? Cool. Where does it cross the y-axis? 0, negative 3. 0, negative 3. I have 2 x-intercepts this time. What's one of them? And then the other one? Good, 3 comma 0. Your axis of symmetry is the line in the middle of your parabola. It's x equals something. It's x equals what? 2. Very good. Remember, it's always the x value of your vertex. Is it concave up or down? Down. And does it have a min or a max? A max. And what is the max value that this parabola can have? That's the location of it. So that's here. The location is 2. But what is the value of the highest point?
1.
1. Very good. And if you think about it, it's always your vertex. But it's kind of switched. Okay, because the value is 1. It can't go higher than 1 because height is y. Height is y. Okay? Your length is your x's. Now, interval of increase and decrease, I'll give you a little hint. Remember, you're always using your axis of symmetry. So the number you should be using in this problem is 2 because that's your axis of symmetry. Always go left to right. I'm going to use the same colors. Interval of increase is going to be yellow and decrease is going to be green. But from left to right, here we go. Remember, my axis of symmetry is down the middle, and it's at 2. Is the left side or the right side increasing? The left side, so I'm going to highlight that yellow. And you always start from negative infinity, and you stop at your axis of symmetry. So I have negative infinity to 2, and then 2 to infinity. So negative infinity to 2, negative infinity to 2, and 2 to infinity.
Negative infinity to 2.
For the decrease?
Yeah.
So you always want to look at your x values, and you see how x keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The x values are getting bigger. So it's positive, yes.
Go back down.
If it was the y, I'd say it would be negative. Okay, now you do number 2 for your homework.
Go down.